we're teaching, we're alive. We're like diamonds in the sky. Teach right like a diamond.
Hello, fellow fellows and fellow educators. This is Diamond Emerald bringing you another gem, good vibes, education, and motivation. I want to talk to you today and bring you a series about classroom management for hybrid teaching. This is for new teachers and new teachers, right? Post-2020 teachers who are back in the game. One thing that I want to say before I go into this first example is the way that I've tapped into this knowledge is by being a certified extreme teacher, which means I'm certified on the DISC assessment. The DISC is a non-judgmental behavioral assessment used for the observation and discussion of people's behavioral types. There's the D style, the I style, the S style, and the C style. We're all a mix of all styles, but you usually have a primary style and a secondary style. It's by knowing myself that I'm better able to serve my students. So I have a student, we're going to call him Bobby. And so Bobby would be identifying as a D style or the Dave character in the Yacht Bomb You Ain't the Boss of Me book written by Eric Thomas. So what he would start to do during hybrid teaching is Bobby, every day on time for class, or actually a few minutes before class, let's be real, he would post the Zoom link. Now, I had set up a system where we used actually the same Zoom link every day, but only kids with the right email addresses could get in. Anyway, we used the same link, so every day he would post the link. And if I did not start class at the exact millisecond that a class was supposed to start, he would start posting on the Google Classroom page. Is class going to start? Let me in. Hello? I know you see this. And I'm like, what? Like, no, this is not happening. So I'd finally sit down because now we're in the building and he still happens to be remote. So I'm moving from class to class, trying to sanitize everything, counting kids, counting materials. And I finally sit down and I see kids blowing me up on the Google Classroom wall. Now you see, my first reaction is to get annoyed. Like, who does he think he is? I'm doing the best that I can. Like, you can wait. Right? It's even a policy. The remote kids have to wait a few minutes because we're doing all these things in person, right? But then I have to switch my mindset. This child is asking to be let into the virtual classroom. That's amazing. That's a godsend. That's a blessing. That is an engaged student. That is someone who understands the value of education. That is someone who is not sleeping, right, with his head under the pillows, alarm not going off, waiting for someone to get him started for school. He's ready to go. I shift my mindset. And I also understand as a D primary style, and he's also has a lot of C characteristics, so he might be floating in between these, but this is really like a D style because he's blowing me up. He didn't just ask once and wait. He blew me up, right? He started to get a little spicy, right? I know you see this. That's a really comical. Let's be real. That really, I was like, no, this isn't happening. So I address it. I know that he is a control specialist. He wants to manage his environment and make sure that things are done in order and on time, right? So I get the class started. I let them in and I thank him. Thank you, Bobby. I see you posting the chat and posting the link on our Google Classroom page. I appreciate that so much. You are so helpful, right? Let's get started with class. We go through the class routine. And then when I have a moment, I pull him to the side. Now, virtually, I'm going to talk about this in another video. I pull him to the side by doing the virtual equivalent of taking a kid out in the hallway or doing the quarterback and kneeling down in his proximal space. I put him in a breakout room. We go to that breakout room, right? The other kids are doing something else. That's another TLAC, teach like a champion technique, which I also reference is teach like a diamond, a task for the class. You give the kids something to do while you handle a behavioral issue, a content issue, a love issue, whatever you need to do. So I take him to the breakout room and I have a conversation with him. I'm not smiling with Skinner anymore, right? I first acknowledge that I appreciate his assistance, but I check him on the language that he's using against me on the Facebook wall. I explain, I don't like that language that you used. It seemed aggressive and it was pretty rude, right? And even I think the other students probably noticed on the wall that it was kind of rude towards me personally. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to delete those comments on our wall. Does that work with you? It says yes, right? Because I don't talk to you that way. If you show up late, which he has, right? If you're absent, which he has been, I don't call you out on a Facebook wall in public or even blow up your email or your parents' phone number. I don't do that to you. I give you a little grace and mercy. So understand that there's a lot going on, Bobby, but that's not cool. What I do need you to do is keep posting that link for me, brother. I appreciate that because sometimes Sarah needs a link because she can't find it. You posting it is great. And scene, right? We get back on track. I reiterate whatever we're doing for the day, that task at that moment. Then we jump back out into the whole group session. Another thing that I've also done, because he's still just ready to be engaged, I'll also give him the power. So I also said, keep posting the link. That's your job now. The other thing I can do is, since you're here always on first, ready to go, as soon as I log on, I'm going to make you the co-host and you're going to let the other kids into the room. Does that work? Make sure that the name is spelled right. Make sure they're here on time. Make sure that they're getting started on the do now, but you're going to be in control of the classroom. The first time I asked him if he wanted to do that job and gave him the power, he said no. But it also made him back up a little bit, right? It takes the pressure off me as a teacher. He knows that I'm in charge of handling my business. So to reiterate, one thing you can do to make sure that you are the boss of your classroom is to identify the personality and behavioral styles, the behaviors of the children that are in front of you. Acknowledge the contribution. Shift your mindset to not being attacked. It's not about me, Diamond. It's not about me. It's about what he needs to happen in this classroom, and give the power back over to the student and keep running your classroom. And nothing to a real one, and nothing to a boss. And nothing to a real one, and nothing to a boss. And being the boss of your classroom sometimes means making the student the boss of their education. Fear not, shine bright. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Shine bright, teach right, you and I. Teaching kids like diamonds in the sky. Teach bright like a diamond.